Hello and welcome to this presentation on human nutrition and the digestive system. Today we're going to cover the structure and function of the human digestive system, mechanical and chemical digestion, and constituent food groups that make up a healthy and balanced diet. So what is the human digestive system? It's the body's system of breaking down molecules in food to allow them to travel through it and nutrients to be absorbed along the way. Let's take a look first at the digestive system structure. The structure is made up of the alimentary canal, which is one long muscular tube that contracts, pushing food through the body, digesting it and then absorbing the nutrients from the food. The alimentary canal passes through the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine and the anus. Other organs involved are the ancillary organs of the liver, gallbladder and pancreas, which produce enzymes and juices that help with the digestive process. Next, we take a look at the digestive system function. The digestive system breaks down food and liquids into small parts, moving it through the body in a process called peristalsis. This allows our bodies to absorb the nutrients and use them for energy, growth and cell repair. The different stages involved are ingestion, where food is taken in through the mouth, peristalsis, which is the contraction of the muscular wall, pushing food through the alimentary canal, digestion, both chemical and mechanical. I'm going to go into more detail of that later. Absorption, mostly done in the intestines, and digestion, which is the elimination of foods that are. Now let's take a look at the mouth and the pharynx, the first organs that the food passes through. The mouth is where the digestive process begins with the ingestion of food. The lips and tongue mix the food into a food bolus with the help of saliva released from 3 saliva glands in the mouth, whilst the teeth chew it and break it down into smaller pieces in a process called mastication. The tongue then forces the bolus or liquid into the pharynx, where involuntary contractions begin, pushing the food further down into the esophagus. So the esophagus. This is a muscular tube of around 25 centimeters in length. It's made up of a hollow inner, which similar to the rest of the alimentary canal, that the food travels through, a mucus lining to help lubricate and help the food travel, and also to protect the lining of the esophagus and the alimentary canal, and a muscular wall on the outside, which contracts, again pushing the food through with the process of peristalsis. Now let's look at the ancillary organs, the liver, the gallbladder and the pancreas. Ancillary in the fact that food doesn't pass through them, but they are instrumental in the digestive process as they assist by producing enzymes and juices that are used for digestion. The liver's main role in the digestive process is to produce bile. Bile is transported through small tubes that lead to the gallbladder, which acts as a storage site until the bile is needed. When it is needed, it's used for emulsifying fats, stimulating peristalsis in the small intestines, and assisting the excretion of cholesterol, fats, and bile pigments. The pancreas is an endocrine and exocrine gland that secretes different enzymes that are released into the small intestine from the pancreatic duct, which connects with the bile duct. The main enzymes secreted for digestion are lipase for lipid digestion, pancreatic amylase for carbohydrate digestion, and trypsin for protein digestion. Now we're going to look at the stomach. So the stomach is a muscular sac that sits underneath the diaphragm, where food is stored for up to 4 hours, depending on the type of food, with fatty food remaining there the longest. Food is digested here mechanically and chemically by the mixing of the food bolus with gastric juices produced by the stomach glands. The gastric juice contains hydrochloric acid required for killing bacteria and assisting digestion, intrinsic factor, a glycoprotein which is essential for the absorption of vitamin B12, necessary for red blood cells to form and grow, and also mineral salts and enzymes. The result of the mixing is a chyme, which is a more fluid-like mass that enables it to pass into the small intestine. So the stomach is where mechanical and chemical digestion happens. Mechanical in the act of churning, movement and mixing, and chemical through the breakdown of food with the enzymes produced in the stomach. The pylorus sphincter opens and closes in phases, allowing small amounts of the chyme to pass through. Now let's look at the small intestine, the large intestine, the rectum and the anal canal. The small intestine is made up of three parts: the duodenum, the jejunum and the ileum. This is where most of the absorption takes place. The chyme becomes alkaline as it's mixed with hydrogen carbonate ions and it's moved along by peristalsis. It's mixed with pancreatic and intestinal juice until digestion is complete. Nutrients from the chyme are absorbed through villi in the wall of the small intestine, and the remainder passes through into the large intestine. And this is where the remaining vitamins are converted into what is known what is left of the chyme into feces. So nutrients and water are removed, and it's turned into feces as it travels along through the ascending colon, the transverse colon, and then the descending colon, where the feces is stored until it's emptied into the rectum. The rectum then acts as a storage place for the feces until it's ready to be excreted through the anus, and that is the final stage of the digestive process. Now let's take a look at the chemical digestion process, looking at enzymes. So enzymes are protein molecules which catalyze or speed up reactions in the body's cells. In the digestive process, the enzymes break down larger molecules of macronutrients into smaller particles, converting them into nutrients which are then absorbed into the bloodstream. So we can look at the image here. We've got the different molecules, macromolecules of carbohydrates, for example, broken down into sugars by enzymes such as amylase, proteins broken down into amino acids by enzymes such as pepsin, fats broken down into fatty acids by the enzyme lipase. And if you look on your handout, you can see all the different enzymes involved in the digestive process and the correct environment and pH levels for them. So the pH levels are very important in each area of the body, as they enable the digestive enzymes to work. So along with the optimum body temperature of 37 degrees and hydrochloric acid in the gastric and pancreatic juices, the correct environment for each enzyme is created, and any changes in this will affect the efficiency of the enzyme. There's also mucus present, which protects the lining of the alimentary canal from being broken down too. So we're going to look at two examples here. First of all, the salivary amylase, which is produced in the mouth, where the pH levels are between 6.7 and 7.0. The amylase breaks down starchy carbohydrates into simpler sugars before the bolus is swallowed. Now let's take a look at pepsin. So this is produced in the stomach, where the pH level is between 1.5 and 1.6. It breaks down the protein molecules into polypeptides, and from there amino acids are removed. Let's look closer at the digestive enzymes. So each enzyme has a shaped area known as the active site, and this is where the corresponding molecule will attach. Only the correct molecule type will fit that active site. So for example, carbohydrate with an amylase, or a protein with pepsin or trypsin. The area of the substrate where the enzyme bonds and reaction takes place becomes weak and breaks down. The product then leaves, and they're either transported, used or stored, and then the enzyme is free to repeat the process all over again. Now we know how the food is digested and absorbed. What should we be putting in the first place? So the NHS advise that we eat not too many calories and not too little, just enough for our energy needs, but that it should be made up of 5 constituent food groups using all of the macronutrients and a number of micronutrients, so vitamins and minerals. They advise that the majority of our food should come from fruit and vegetables, so foods rich in vitamins, minerals and fibre, starchy carbohydrates, so for example bread, cereals and potatoes, and then the remainder with around 12 to 15% from dairy and alternatives, so foods rich in calcium and protein, vitamins and minerals that are healthy for healthy bones and muscles, and proteins, so meat, fish and alternatives, so foods rich in protein but also zinc, iron and some fibre and omega-3, for example in oily fish. And then finally, we should limit the amount of food that we get from the group containing foods high in salt, sugar and fats. So that's all from me today. Thank you for listening to this presentation.